This is the age of sorcery, and it has arrived in Conan Exiles. It delivers magic into the hands of the player, but there is a price, and that price is corruption. The more you use magic in Conan, the more corrupted you will become, and this leaves very visible marks on your character. The latest update then to Conan Exiles arrived on September the 22nd, and it is easily the largest update for years. Now, Conan is a game I have returned to numerous times over the years, playing it extensively back in 2018 and 2019 on my PS4. So it was nice that just as Age of Sorcery caught my attention, the developers Funcom reached out and asked if I'd like to take a look at the game on PC. So my thanks to Funcom for sponsoring this video. Do check out the links in the video description where you can find out everything you need to know. Now, if you've never played Conan Exiles before, it is set in Robert E. Howard's classic world. Funcom have created a game with an expansive environment that is fun to explore and conquer. It's a game that you can play solo, co-op, PvE or PvP. It's really up to you, and for me, that really is the beauty of the game. Now, as I'm talking, you can see the magic being used in the footage in the background. From the slow fall effect that we used to jump off that massive cliff, to a rather nice effect here that will allow us to create an ice bridge. This is where magic is slightly different in Conan. Using your staff creates runes. Selecting the runes will then generate various magical effects. Some, such as the slow fall we saw a moment ago, as well as this ice bridge here, are extremely useful, allowing you to do things that you would once have been impossible. Just look how easy it is to get up to this previously very difficult to reach area. Although, that said, it seems I've got here a little bit on the early side, as this particular monster is, well, let's say, a bit difficult to fight. How then do we get hold of magic in Conan Exiles? Well, the trick to that is to locate a sorcerer in one of the enemy encampments. If you're lucky, the sorcerer will drop a package inside of which is a map. A map to a cave. You may well recognise that location if you know anything about Conan Exiles. It's over on the western quadrant of the map. This cave then will give you access to a sorcery, but first you've got to get in here. It's fairly well protected, shall we say, but these aren't too difficult to defeat, at least not in the entirety. Just take a little bit of care and you should be good to go. Deeper into the cave, I come across this very interesting area. It all looks suitably mysterious and quite foreboding, doesn't it? But the likes of Conan and the other cohorts around here are not too fast. Anyway, interact with the book here and you will learn the basics of sorcery. This grants you access to a staff, a spell book, as well as a couple of basic spells, but you will want more spells as you go. Fortunately, your spellbook can be very easily upgraded, at least relatively easily early on. It gets a little bit more difficult later into the game. You can do this at the new Thaumaturgy bench. Combine various ingredients and your spellbook will soon be upgraded. This will grant you a number of new spells. So we can see right here very early on, we've got just 6 spells at the moment, and for the most part some of these are quite simple. Imbue Wisp. The sorcerer imbues a soul onto their flesh, illuminating their path. We've got Soul Drain, and some of the other ones we got right very early on, which is the ice bridge we saw a moment ago, as well as now a firewall. But that's not where it ends. The more spells you learn, the more powerful you become, even up until the point to be able to summon mounts, some pretty epic mounts actually, as well as some undead minions that you can use as well. But avert your eyes right now, look away if you're squeamish, because yes, using these spells, getting hold of these spells comes at a cost, and it means sacrificing people. This is blood magic. And again, just to reiterate, the more you do this, the more corrupt you will actually become. Corruption enables other perks though, such as the ability to corrupt your attributes. To all intents and purposes, this is leveling up your attributes once again. And this will convert your perks to something entirely different. Some of them are far more powerful in fact, although they are pretty dark and pretty grim. In fact, you can see one of those perks in action right here. It adds significant damage, just look at that. You can also see one of the other side effects is that my health bar up on the top left is now at about 50%. That's because when you're corrupted, it will reduce your actively available stamina and health. Anyway, it's not all dark. It's not all a completely bleak world. There's some truly beautiful areas around, as this area here. Yes, generally speaking, in most of the areas, regardless of how beautiful they are, you will inevitably end up in combat. That, quite naturally, is a part of the world. It's part of Conan, and I think, really, anyone who's familiar with the lore and the books, the novel, the game, or whatever, will be very much well aware of that. Now, I've said the world is beautiful. It is. I know a few of you are probably going to be thinking, well, the graphics look a little bit old. We can't deny that. That is true. Yet the world building holds up remarkably well. One thing I love about all games, all open world games, is the ability to explore. And that is great when it comes to Conan Exiles. There's a lot of lovely areas out here. But as I mentioned, combat is everywhere. No matter where you go, there's people who want to take you down. Fortunately, combat in Conan is pretty interesting. It's responsive and action-orientated, my type of thing then. Now, as long-time viewers of this channel will know, my preference for most games is the lone wolf style. So whilst you can certainly play Conan co-op, PvE, PvP, or indeed solo is certainly preferable for me. So therefore, I set up my game to match my personal playstyle. The game is full of options that allow you to customize just about everything, from level progression to damage dealt to whether you want to play solo or with others. In short, it really is a true sandbox. Now, as I said early on, I spent many hours in Conan back in 2018 and 2019, and it's a game I've returned to a few times since. Now, with Age of Sorcery, I've spent well over 20 hours in it so far, and I've enjoyed every one of those hours. Whether that's just exploring the environments, building a house, or fighting in some of the various dungeons, it's all proven to be pretty interesting indeed. Now, in terms of the sandbox that I mentioned, Age of Sorcery expands upon the sandbox aspect of the game with the brand new creative mode. I'd already built a small house on the southern section of the map, got everything there I pretty much needed, but as I progressed in level, I think I'm around about level 35 at this point, I wanted a larger base in the middle of the map, slightly more towards the north. And it was here I decided to try out the new creative mode. So when you're in creative mode, you can build without the requirement of resources. It means you can build as large and as expansive as you like. For me then, this was a fantastic opportunity to build a truly awe-inspiring castle, or at least as best as I could actually manage. So yeah, this is something I'm going to be coming back to because I just want to keep building upon this and improving it ever further. The beauty of this mode then is that you can either use it or not use it. It really depends on your preference towards this type of playstyle. Simply put, it's all about opening up more options, and it does a very good job of doing this. Age of Sorcery then brings a whole lot of new content to Conan Exiles. It's got me interested, that's for sure. If you're interested, do check out the links in the video description. There's everything you need to know. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.